Hey guys, welcome back. Now we all want to hit those solid irons. We all really want to compress that golf ball. And think in your mind that player that you know, they may not be very big, they may not be very strong, but when they hit a golf ball, it sounds heavy on the face. It has a loud boom to it. Even though the swing doesn't look very hard, that ball takes off, it penetrates through the air. They're one of the longest hitters in your group, even though they may not have quite as much club head speed as some other players. Well, that's what we all want to be. We all want to be that guy that has that heavy hit, that really solid strike, and it feels like every single one of them is really, really solid. What is it that happens for the opposite players? A lot of times what I see are players that are losing forward shaft lean. They're kind of flipping the club through contact here, and instead of having that heavy, powerful hit, the ball just kind of floats up in the air. Maybe we lose that shot to the right, it starts to leak off to the right and it goes into the rough. Maybe it even slices a little bit when we really hit one bad, and it really just feels weak. You swing hard, the harder you swing, the weaker it goes, the shorter it goes. So that's the first problem. When pros are hitting the golf ball, when players that have that heavy hit are hitting the golf ball, what they're doing is they're taking loft off this club. So my hands are in front of the golf club, in front of the head at impact, the shaft is leaning forward, and they're taking loft off of the natural loft of this golf club. So if I'm swinging, an 8-iron here, pros are taking about 30% of the loft off the club. Every club is a little bit different, but an 8-iron probably has, let's call it 37 degrees of loft, something like that on it. They're taking that all the way down. Pros are taking that all the way down to 26, 25 degrees of loft when they're actually hitting the ball by getting that shaft leaning forward. When you do that, and it takes that loft off there, it's like hitting a golf ball with a hammer. You're taking that loft off and it's transferring all that weight into the golf ball. Now, if I took the opposite approach to that, imagine I'm hitting a flop shot and the face is wide open, I could swing 200 miles an hour. I could swing as hard as I want to, but that ball is just going to glance across. That's why sometimes you feel like you're swinging really hard, the ball's not going anywhere. So that's the first piece. Number one, we got to de-loft that club, and I'm going to show you guys a great trick to make that happen to get that heavier hit. Then number two, we got to hit that club face when it's closing down. So a lot of times players will have that face opening up a bit. Again, that weaker shot that kind of flies to the right, maybe even that slice that floats up in the air, that's opening the face. And what happens there, when I open this face, even if I have forward shaft lean, if I open that face, I'm adding loft to it. So I need to take off loft by having forward shaft lean, and I need to take off even more loft by hitting a little bit of a draw for most players. Now, pros can hit a fade or a draw. That's getting really, really precise with this. But for most players, I say, let's go ahead and hit that nice, low, powerful draw. If you overdo it, maybe you get a couple hooks in there, but you're going to be hitting it longer. You're going to be hitting a lot of great quality shots. So if we can de-loft the club and get it to draw, we're going to be way better off than most of the players that we're going to be playing. So now let's talk about a little trick that we can get to actually make this happen. It's all great in theory. We say, okay, I understand the heavy hit. I understand how pros are doing that, but I can't do it myself. All right, let's have a cheat where we can make this happen. So the first thing we're going to do, let's go ahead and set up to this golf ball with our feet kind of together, only about 5 or 6 inches, 4 inches or so, a club head width apart, directly in front of this golf ball. So I'm going to hit it this way. Now what I want you to do from there is I want you to take your left foot and I want you to open it about 45 degrees so it looks like this. Then I want you to pick up your right foot and I want you to match that to your left foot. Okay, so now both of my toes are even with each other. They're facing about 45 degrees in front. If you look at that ball position, it's kind of on my right heel. I may be a little bit too far forward there. Maybe just toward the back center of my stance will be perfect as far as this. Now the reason I'm using this crazy forward stance is because now that's going to force me to get some forward shaft lean, force me to get in front of this golf ball, and it's really going to help me to compress that golf ball and hit it low. I want you to about 4 or 5 shots and just try to get that ball to fly as low as you can. You don't want to go more than, say, 30 or 40 yards while you're doing this, but I'm really going to try to de-loft that club, really get that worm burner. So that's exactly what that one did. It kind of took off, probably went closer to 100 and 120 yards, even though I barely swung, just because it had a lot of pop to it. It really transferred a lot of energy to it. So the next thing I'm going to do after I've done a few of those and I get used to hitting it low, that's the de-lofting part that we talked about. Now we got to make sure that we're going to hit that draw. Now again, does every player have to hit a draw? No, I like to play a fade. There's a lot of pros that play a fade. I'm not saying that the draw is the only way to go, but I'm saying for those of you who aren't getting as heavy a hit as you'd like, hitting that draw is going to transfer a lot more energy into it. It's going to get you hitting it farther, and you're really going to have a lot more fun playing this game if we can do that. So this time, what I want you to do, still have that forward shaft lean, but really feel like you turn those hands down. if I had my left wrist, I'm gonna turn my logo of my glove to the ground, and I'm gonna feel like my hand releases by doing this, keeping that logo of the glove to the ground. So if I was exaggerating that with a golf club, it would be this motion. I'm letting that club de-loft and rotate around. Now I'm really exaggerating here. This would be taking that club face and bringing it to outside of the club. That would be a big time snap hook if I really did this. Just a little bit goes a long way, but I'll know I'm doing it right if I hit that really low shot and that ball starts to curve from right to left. I'd love to see you guys just go ahead and overdo this at first. I'd rather see a guy play a 20-yard hook and really compress the heck out of it at first. We can always tone down, do a little bit less, and straighten that shot out. But until we've really felt that heavy hit, it's a hard thing to describe until you've experienced it yourself. So really exaggerate on this. So this one, I'm really gonna hit that low draw. That ball really started to cut, or it really started to draw, even over drew, but it still got some pretty good distance for a little half shot. Now these are just drills to help you get the sensation of that heavy hit. It's basically just a giant, chip shot, punch shot that we're hitting here. As you get more comfortable with that, now let's try to keep that feeling of a heavy hit, but let's gradually get our stance more back to normal. So if this is the drill that we just did, feet facing in front, really got a lot of forward shaft lean, hooking that ball. I want you to gradually start to get your stance closer to normal. So start to get your toes pointing a little bit more back toward this golf ball and try to recreate that same heavy hit that you had when you were really exaggerating it. There we go. So that one was a nice draw, really low. Those are almost getting to the green from 150 yards with a little punch 8-iron. That's just how much energy is getting transferred in this ball. So then once I get comfortable with that, I'm gonna go from here and I'm gonna go a little bit more toward a normal stance. I'm gonna hit a few more, see if I can get that nice, heavy, low penetrating ball flight. And then I'm gonna go back to my normal stance and I'm gonna try to recreate the same feel. It should be normal than or lower than your normal ball flight. It should turn over a little bit more right to left probably than your normal ball flight. But again, we can always tone that down a little bit. I just want you to get you guys really over compressing the golf ball here at first. So after I've done these drills, I'm gradually gonna go back to my normal stance, making sure that I try to get that forward shaft lean with each one, really compress the golf ball. You guys are gonna hit some great shots. Now what we went over today with those compressed shots is exactly what we teach in the Top Speed Golf system, which is called the move. One of the best videos from the move is what I call my tennis racket drill. One of the things that we missed in this video, we didn't really talk in a lot of detail how those wrists would de-loft this club as they start the downswing. The tennis racket drill is gonna do that for you. So I'm gonna play a preview of that video here in a second. Just click the iCard that pops up on your screen or the link down below in the description. We're gonna add that tennis racket drill to what we did here. And man, that's gonna be a great 1-2 punch. You're gonna hit those low, heavy, well-compressed golf shots. I can't wait to share with you the tennis racket drill because I know it's helped tons of players. Let's go ahead and get started. Good player problems. We're gonna talk about shallowing that club shaft out as we're starting down, as we're doing this rotating of the face that we worked on in the last video. As we start this downswing, what you'll see with basically all of the top players is instead of coming kind of over the top and letting the hands come out away from their body, letting the club come out away from their body, again coming down steep into the ball and then having to open up, kind of fillet open the face and add loft to it. The flattening of the shaft should happen as soon as we start down. So as we start this downswing, what we want to have happening here, you can imagine that if I draw a line from the hosel of my club up through my right elbow, that's my swing plane line, my elbow plane. As I go to the top of the swing, I'm going to be slightly above that. And then as I start down, I want my hands to start to shallow out. I want the club to shallow out inside of this elbow plane. And at the same time, I'm going to be